What up, Shredder? I was recently dropping into a cornice in Japan, and it seemed that if I fell on the landing, I would tumble head over heels at Mach 10, potentially ripping my shoulder from its socket or getting a nice case of whiplash to reactivate a back injury. But I dropped it anyways, and you know what? It made me feel completely alive, and immediately go out and hit an even bigger drop. So what's the deal with fear? We all have it on a snowboard, but breaking through fear makes us feel alive. It's that feeling we get when we ride away from a cliff drop and high-five our friends, or stomp our first 360 in the park, or the adrenaline we get hauling it at 60 miles an hour on a groomer, or even just riding our very first black diamond. Fear is what makes it fun, and also what stops some of us dead in our tracks and keeps us from actually getting better at snowboarding. It is our guide, our friend, and for some of us, our biggest challenge. I mean, how do you get back up and drop in again after wrecking like this? I know, because that's me. Today we're going to talk about 7 ways to deal with fear on a snowboard so you can go out there, overcome it, and reach new levels in your riding. But first, let us know in the comments, how do you deal with fear on a snowboard? Tell us about a time you overcame fear and it paid off. Okay, number 1 way to deal with fear, accept that fear is a good thing. It keeps you from sending it on that huge jump that you have no business hitting or dropping into an avalanche zone that could take your life. There's a reason we have fear, but you also have to understand that your brain is designed to keep you alive, not to get extreme. And the easiest way to stay alive is just to not snowboard.
What? No.
But we all know that doing something a little dangerous is well worth it if the payoff is there. So first things first, accept fear instead of avoiding it altogether. And that means not dealing with fear through alcohol, through ignoring it, pretending it's not there, or not going snowboarding at all. Number 2, way to deal with fear on a snowboard is to prepare. Most people get hurt when they're underprepared for the task at hand. So get an instructor, join shred school, get proper equipment. If you're a beginner, get butt pads, a helmet, get avalanche beacons. Make sure that you're prepped by somebody who's done it before and you're prepared for worst case scenario. Always protect your downside and your backside. The number 3 way to deal with fear on a snowboard is to train. I recommend you get in the gym, you get in the yoga studio, and you start to train your mobility, your strength, your cardio. All of this is going to increase your balance, your resiliency, your strength, and allow you to take a beating. Let's be honest. My friend Keith, when I was in high school, was 30 years old and he was just learning backside rodeos. And it amazed me that a guy who was 30, which is ironic because now I'm older than that, was able to go out there and do backside rodeos. And the reason was because Keith was a bodybuilder. He could take a beating. He could get absolutely worked out there and get right back up. Where if you're a guy who hasn't done anything off the couch other than skate and snowboard and you're hitting your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, you're gonna get injured really easily because your body's just not used to it. So get out there, train in the gym, get that flexibility back as you age, get that mobility and the strength, and you're gonna have a lot less fear out there because you're gonna feel like a beast. Number 4 way to deal with fear is pick the right conditions. In snowboarding, we have to deal with the weather patterns, freezing over, thawing out. Is it slushy? Is it powder? Who are you riding with? How do you feel that day? We want to take all these into account when we go out there and use them to our advantage. If you want to learn your first double back, you're not going to do it on an icy day where it's flat light, right? You're going to go out with people who are better than you, who've done the trick before you have, find the perfect jump for it, and go on the day when the conditions are right. Conditions dictate so much around snowboarding, and this is the same reason that we never ever call last run. Number 5 way to deal with fear on a snowboard is baby steps and reps. The more you do something, the less fear you have around it. Do you know how they get people to overcome their fear of spiders? They put them around spiders.
Huh? Let's not move your mouth.
But just a little bit at a time. Psychologists and therapists know that exposure therapy works, but you can't just throw somebody in the deep end or you're gonna re-traumatize them. So if you wrecked yourself on a backside 540, you don't necessarily want to get back up and go out there and throw that same trick. You want to work your way up, go down to a smaller jump, to a smaller trick, and dial in your backside 180s, your cab 3s, your backside 3s, your back 5 on a smaller jump, hit the big jump 10 times in a row, and then only when you're ready, go out there and do that trick that you got wrecked on again when you feel confident and sure that it's not going to happen again. Baby steps and reps can do a lot to help you overcome that fear. I interviewed Tommy Bennett, and he said he'll make his athletes go out there and do 10 backside 7s in a row before they do a backside 9. And by the time they get to number 7 or 8, they're sleeping in the air and they're ready to throw that extra 180. Number 6 way to deal with fear on a snowboard is use adrenaline to your advantage. Some things are just scary no matter how prepared you are. That's what's so cool about extreme sports, and that's why they make us feel so alive and why they call us adrenaline junkies. I know if I'm out there and I want to learn a new trick, what I'm going to do is use adrenaline to my advantage, because that's going to give me more power, it's going to give me more confidence, and it's going to get me hyped up. So I like to use trick stacking, where I'll find a couple jumps in a row. On the first jump, I'll do a setup trick. The second jump, I'm going to do a trick that scares me a little bit, but I know I got it in my bag. And when I stomp that trick, my adrenaline's going to surge, and I'm ready to go full send on the third trick. You see this with skateboarding over and over again. They put tricks in a line, so by the time they get to the end of it, that really hard trick, their confidence is way up. It's called getting your power meter up. And if you go out there, stomp some things before you try your hard trick, you're going to see just how much superpowers it gives you. And number 7 way to deal with fear on a snowboard is to accept it. Just accept that every day is not the day on a snowboard. We all have good days and bad days, and you have to know when to throw down and when to go home, okay? There's a time to push it, and there's a time to say, you know what, I'm gonna save it for tomorrow. So if you're tired, if conditions are bad, if it's flat light, if nobody's hit this drop before and it looks pretty sketchy and there might be rocks under it, maybe just say, you know what, I'm gonna scope this out before I hit it. I'm gonna accept that my fear is a good thing and not need to overcome it this time. So that's it, 7 ways to deal with fear on a snowboard. If you haven't felt fear lately, you're probably not having as much fun as you could be. It's not something to avoid altogether. Fear is something that keeps us safe and makes us feel alive. Harness it to your advantage and you'll have more fun snowboarding than ever before, but let it get the best of you and it could make you stay home altogether. Let me know in the comments, when's the last time you felt fear on a snowboard and what did you do to overcome it? And what advice do you have for other viewers? That's all for today. Peace out, Shredder.